between camps. I'm sure you'll be friends with Keemstar in a month from now.
Absolutely
Being
not.
like,
No.
yeah, Ethan's fucking, I had used to go to his house, and you'll start making up shit like,
No.
and he put a camera.
Okay. Okay, I was like, Hey guys, welcome back to my channel where we spill tea left, right, and everywhere in between. In today's video, we're going to be talking yet again about our favorite Trisha Paytas and the saga with her going to the Mom's Basement podcast. You know, the Keemstar and Faze Banks podcast, Keemstar being Ethan Klein's literal enemy. There is a lot to cover, so buckle up. But before we get into all of the tea, let me plug the Hot Tea Twitter account where you can keep up with any updates as well as send us stories that you want us to cover. Also, make sure to subscribe to this channel and turn your post notifications on so you know when I post. And if you enjoyed the video, give this video a thumbs up and comment anything you want down below for the YouTube algorithm. Alright, let's get into the tea. So the long-awaited Mom's Basement podcast episode featuring Trisha Paytas has come out. They talked about Ethan Klein, Gabbie Hanna, David Dobrik, and a few other topics like tea channels, YouTube, and more. In the description for the episode, though, they misspelled Gabbie Hanna's name. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but oh well. The episode isn't actually that long. I don't know why, but I expected them to go on for longer. Also, if you don't know why this episode is such a big deal, I actually made a whole video entirely on that yesterday, so check that out if you want, and then come back to this. Keemstar starts off by asking Trisha if they actually hate each other or not, and Trisha explains herself right away and on why she agreed to be on the podcast. Then Trisha mentioned Ethan and how it was the same situation. She didn't like him because he made jokes about her looking like a corpse, etc., but she went on his podcast anyway. And then Keemstar admits that Frenemies was actually iconic. He also mentioned that after Frenemies broke up, a lot of people were like, you should link up with Trisha. Then Trisha said she was more pro Ethan than pro Keemstar, and she thinks they should both get on a podcast and talk it out like her and Gabbie Hanna did. Can you imagine that actually happening? I think that would break the actual internet. Keemstar versus H3 is one of the biggest internet feuds. Anyway, Keemstar said that Ethan would never agree to something like this because in Keem's words, Ethan would not put himself in a situation where he knows he would lose. Oh, okay, bold of you, Keem. And then he said that's why the last episode of Frenemies didn't air, right? He was referring to the episode Trisha and Ethan filmed where they talked things out, but Ethan didn't want to post it. And shortly after, Trisha was pissed and made a few videos where she insisted that if people saw the last episode, they would see Ethan apologizing to her for some stuff and she wouldn't get as much hate. In one of those videos, she also mentioned something that might be about Gabbie Hanna on Frenemies, which we'll look into a little bit later, so keep that in mind. It seems like Trisha really wanted to air that last episode because in her opinion, it would take the heat off of her and it would benefit her a lot, but honestly, everyone who followed the Frenemies breakup saga saw the unfiltered Trisha, how she acted, all of the nasty comments that she made, and the hate that Trisha got was well deserved. Most of us would agree. Faze Banks also asked Trisha how things are between her and Ethan since they're going to be family soon. She said that their beef is online stuff mainly. Banks actually called Trisha reasonable, which sure, okay. Then they mentioned Gabbie, and Keemstar said that he used to dislike Gabbie a lot, but recently he became friends with her. He said that she is getting way too much hate on the internet. What do you guys think? Obviously we've talked a lot about Gabbie in the last couple of months, but do you agree with Keem? They continue discussing Gabbie as well as tea channels and how they always portray Gabbie as the villain. Faze Banks actually said that if Gabbie can't admit to be at least one of the things that she's canceled for, maybe there's something that she is to be blamed for. Trisha agrees with him and she's all like, at least I'm self-aware and I know in our situation I went a bit too far. Girl, what? When were you self-aware for going too far? Definitely not with the Gabbie stuff. I mean, sure, you kind of squashed the beef with her when you went to the podcast, but as soon as you could talk about it, you bashed her. Not that we're taking Gabbie's side, but still. Moving on, Keemstar said that he's been compared to Trisha and people called him the male Trisha Paytas because he trolls every now and then. Trisha was so quick to deny trolling. I mean, she seems to think that she doesn't troll anymore, but come on, those Starbucks videos are pure Trisha troll. Then Trisha talked about her time on YouTube and how she's been making videos for almost 15 years now. Next, Trisha said Keemstar gave her anxiety and that she tries to pick and choose her battles, but now everybody is saying that she's a hypocrite because on Frenemies, she talked shit about Keemstar.
Flop between camps. I'm sure you'll be friends with Keemstar in a month from now.
Absolutely.
Being
not.
like,
No.
yeah, Ethan's fucking. I had used to go to his house, and you'll start making up shit like,
No.
and he put a camera.
Okay.
As you guys know, she's been in some hot water about her future on Mom's Basement since she's giving him content basically and supporting his podcast by showing up. And people are calling her out on the hypocrisy. At least she's aware. I don't know. Oh, and she said that she doesn't want to start unnecessary drama with Keemstar, but like you are creating more and more drama with him and Ethan, so did you even think this through at all? After that, Keemstar talks about how both of them have horrible pasts and it gets brought up all the time when people talk about them. And Trisha was all like, I don't like bringing up people's past, but like you do when you get in fights with people. She tried to justify that in some situations. She keeps bringing up people's past, like with James Charles and David Dobrik. Then at some point she mentioned the picture of Moses that was bruised. That came out last summer. She was pissed that it wasn't supposed to be public. But excuse me, you're not supposed to beat up your partner in the first place, Trisha. Then they discussed David Dobrik getting canceled big time. Keemstar asked her about her thoughts on the whole situation. Trisha then mentions that she wouldn't mind going to his podcast or Jeff Wittick's podcast to have a discussion, but she thinks David and Jason took zero accountability. And then she says that she can't stand them, but you're willing to have a conversation with them on their podcast? It's obvious that Trisha keeps her relevancy by going on all of these podcasts. She's been in quite a few since the end of Frenemies. She went on the BFF's podcast, the Zach Sang Show, Tana's podcast, and now Keemstar's. It's obvious it is all for her gain as well, more than for the open discussion, but okay, Trish. They continued talking about David and how people around him are all yes men, and he's not really learning from his mistakes or changing. They mentioned the Seth SA situation and how in some clips shortly after it happened, he seemed okay with it, but now his opinion was different. Trish said it's possible at the time the victim did not realize what had happened to him, but later he saw it in a different way. Trisha gave some examples of David's fans giving her and harassing her when she left the vlogs. Later on, Keemstar asked Trisha about her mentioning her views being lower after Frenemies ended. She gave an example of when she collabs with people, more people watch her, like after the Tana collab. Trisha then explains that her Adam and Eve sponsorships kill her channel because, you know, YouTube is hella sensitive to topics like that. She agreed with Keemstar and said if anybody wants to do a podcast with her, she'd be down. She mentioned Frenemies yet again, and she said the previous times when they had a fight, it was her fault, but this time she felt like it was all Ethan's fault for not having frenemies back. Yet, correct me if I'm wrong, but had she ever previously taken accountability for the other 4 times that she started a fight with Ethan on Frenemies? Keemstar and Faze Banks praised Ethan for being so patient with Trisha, but then they both started bashing him out of nowhere, and Trisha was agreeing with some of these things, by the way. Keemstar said Ethan has called him out for making fun of mental health, and he even admitted that he's trying to understand it now, but then Keem was like, well, Ethan was a hypocrite in this instance. They were talking about Gabbie Hanna and that Ethan gave her an award for biggest mental breakdown or something along those lines. Trisha at least knows she's a hypocrite. They continue to talk about things like losing weight, Keemstar's new girlfriend, and Trisha was surprised that she doesn't look like a child.
Yeah, because you're happier in a new relationship now.
Yes.
So,
Right there, look at it.
oh, wait, really?
Yeah.
She's not a child.
Oh,
Look.
oh my gosh.
That's
She's a real
Jossie.
person.
How did that get blown? Okay, anyways, first
There's
of
no
all,
chains on her. She's not handcuffed to the couch. She's chilling.
hi, nice to meet you. No, first of all, how did that change it?
She almost was like, how did that get out of proportion? It's frustrating because literally a week ago, Trisha was talking about how disgusted she is because Keemstar, who is 38, is dating a 20-year-old. And now on the podcast, she's all backing up, acting like she never said those things. Like, girl, I know she said it herself. She's a hypocrite. But oh my god, Keemstar shared that he's happy in his relationship. We've covered that and what other people think about it. So if you want to check my most recent videos, that's there. But anyway, they talk about Ethan yet again. Keemstar mentioned a video that Ethan made where he pretended to a puppet that looks like Keem. And he was like, if I did something like this, my channel would get taken down. Keemstar denied striking the H3 channel. He saw the puppet clip on Twitter first, tweeted at YouTube about it, then deleted the tweet. The funny thing is that Trisha was like, I wanted to ask you about that. I don't want you to strike my channel out of nowhere. Meanwhile, if you've been a long-time viewer of this channel, that you know that Trisha has striked and flagged multiple of my videos just because she didn't like someone talking about her. Again, hypocrisy at its finest by yours truly, Trisha Paytas. Keemstar continued the story by saying that he started tweeting pictures of horses without captions just to mess with Ethan. Keemstar was just like, I want to bully people, but you can't really do that anymore. Then Trisha was like, I don't think you should bully people. If you're gonna talk shit, at least don't go for their looks. I can't believe Trisha is the one making more sense on this one. They went on to talk about Ethan and how he's changed in order to please his audience. Faze Banks went pretty hard on him. He mentioned stuff about Ethan's past and how his previous content had a lot of slurs in them. But now Ethan is acting like some social justice warrior. Keemstar, on the other hand, seemed pretty upset that he can't be rude and bully people on the internet anymore. What's with this guy and wanting to be a bully? Trisha kind of agreed with them that Ethan is influenced a lot by what his audience thinks. She went on to say that he is intelligent. Keem and Faze agreed, so there's something positive, I guess. They are not bashing him all the way, at least. Faze Banks then talked about his beef with Ethan and an accusation that he dealt with a few years ago. He said that because of Ethan, he got a lot of hate on something that wasn't true, and he proved that in his own video. Faze tried to reach out to Ethan so that they can use his platform and his fans can stop harassing him. But in Banks' own words, Ethan wasn't interested in doing anything about it, and that he thought Faze explained it pretty well in his video. After that, Trisha talked about how she still hung up on Ethan and the fact that he didn't release the last Frenemies episode.
And in that final episode of Frenemies, and this is my resentment for him that I'm going to hang on forever until like he can acknowledge that he misspoke. He misspoke on me. I have gotten so much hate from that day still. Being like, you ended Frenemies, the whole crew fired, the 5%, just that was not.
They mentioned Gabbie Hanna one more time, and that was pretty much the whole podcast. I don't know. They said that they made a second longer episode with Trisha. I don't know why they would do that. So just put it all in one podcast, but would you guys be interested in a recap of that? Let me know in the comments down below. Overall, they didn't spill a lot of tea. A lot of the things that Trisha talked about could be summed up in a few of her TikToks realistically, though she acted like when people hear the podcast, they will understand why she went there and it would like change everyone's view on the topic. Now let's talk about the thing that I told you to keep in mind. Ethan shared that right after Frenemies ended, Gabbie Hanna texted him and she wanted to be on the podcast. He tweeted that it would be an interesting episode for sure, but he would never do that to Trisha. He said that he never even responded to Gabbie, and Gabbie decided to insert herself in the drama, of course, being like, I didn't message immediately after Frenemies broke up. I messaged immediately after I put out the evidence of the lies you and Trisha spread on Frenemies. Still would like the opportunity to defend myself on the platform I was harassed and slandered on, please. So there's a clip of Trisha right after they filmed the unaired episode of Frenemies where she said that Ethan apologized to her. In this clip, she's talking about Ethan showing her that he had an opportunity to do something, but he told her that he wouldn't do that. And I think, allegedly, now we know what that is. Here's the clip.
We are family, so that's never really gonna end. He did show me something. I'm not gonna like tell him what it was. I don't wanna like put this on blast, but he did show me something that, and he's like, I would never do that to you. Like, he showed me something that could have happened that didn't. Do you know what I'm talking about? When he showed me that thing, he was like, oh, maybe you don't know, but he showed me something that like would have like devastated me, like really hurt me. I would never do that to you. Anyways, it just meant a lot that like he didn't.
And this clip shows that she would be pretty upset if Ethan actually decided to do the thing, but she was acting all, go have Gabbie on your podcast, I don't care. Trish, pick a side, please.
Island had Jeffrey. You were mad about Jeffrey. I was mad about it. Did I say anything? No.
The least he could have done was, you know, like take down the pod, because I brought up this podcast, this stupid one, the sip or whatever, that was like, I'm like, you know, you having Jeffrey on there and like gushing over him like he's God, like when you know he's an awful person, he's vile.
You
like,
told me. He's told you that he thinks he's vile.
Yeah, and then see him on the podcast, and the least he could have done is like, you know what, let's just delete that podcast. It's still up. It's like, I don't expect you to defriend him. That's your cash cow. That's where you're getting your money still from the pallet or whatever. But it's like, it's just like there's nothing. He never once offered any like I don't trust it.
I was mad about it. Did I say anything? No, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not in a cult. I don't own a person.
Oh, and there's also this tweet that aged like sour milk. It's from September 2020 when Trisha said, Keemstar asked me to come on an interview last week for Drama Alert and I said no. Only really sad and desperate for attention people go on there to interview about drama. It's so pathetic. It's just funny. Just funny, man. Also, Trisha was acting like she doesn't know much about Keem versus Ethan when in reality she does. There is a clip from a frenemies episode where Ethan explained why he doesn't like Keemstar, so in reality Trisha is aware, plus she's just trolled both Ethan and Keemstar multiple times before. It's just really stupid of Trisha to be acting so clueless. I don't know why she would, but whatever.
And we ended up bashing Ethan a lot. You know, Ethan has some flaws, and you know, we've all experienced them firsthand. Ethan and Banks have had beef. Trisha and Ethan have had beef. Obviously, me and Ethan have beef. And so that was the one common thing that kind of connected all of us is, you know, us criticizing Ethan. So, you know, we talked about many different topics, but that was, I would say, the core of the conversation.
Right.
All right, and so here is a little big, actually, update on the whole situation. We talked about Ethan responding on social media, Twitter and TikTok about Trisha going on Keemstar's podcast, but he actually made a whole video about it on his podcast. He expressed his feelings and also reacted to what they had to say about him on the podcast, which includes some spicy tea on Trisha and Moses secretly recording the last Frenemies episode. In this video, Ethan pretty much debunked everything Trisha had to say in her video defending her future on the Mom's Basement podcast. Ethan also expressed that he is very much done with Trisha and he doesn't want to deal with her anymore. He said he thought of privating all of the Frenemies episodes because he still pays Trisha a big chunk of money monthly. Obviously, with YouTube videos, you can still make money from them after that they've been posted for a while, just from the ad revenue of the additional views that it's getting. Ethan stated that even though he wanted to private all of the episodes, he figured people would re-upload them anyway, but also people have been able to debunk Trisha's contradictions through them. So overall, it wouldn't be in his best interest to private them and act like they didn't happen. Ethan also brought up the fact that he tweeted one thing, the promo picture of the episode where Trisha is wearing the Frenemies hoodie. He tweeted that this made him very sad. And he was like, I tweeted once, Trisha made 1 million TikToks and a 40-minute video. He said that in the next episode of Families, they discussed the topic. Also, Ethan addressed his mom responding to Trisha on Twitter. He said his mom is new to Twitter, but he found her tweet funny. Moving on, Ethan went through different situations where Trisha says one thing and now her opinion is completely different, basically exposing her contradictions one by one. Some of which we already covered, like her supposedly not knowing much about the H3 Keemstar feud, her being okay with Gabbie on the H3 podcast, and more. And a few other things are that Ethan and Hila unfollowed Trisha on all social media platforms. Ethan shared that he wants to do nothing with Trisha and he is tired of all the hypocrisies and everything that she's put him and his family through. Lastly, a secret recording of the last Frenemies episode apparently was made by Trisha and Moses. Ethan mentioned this towards the end of the video. He said it was devastating and he was blown away by this.
You know, and I'll be honest, there was another aspect to the whole last episode is that like they secretly recorded us, which was like kind of devastating to me, that they came into the house, secretly recorded our conversations before and after the podcast and during, and have basically been I'm going to say threatening, but like...
He said that they kind of threatened to release it. Ethan was also like, there isn't anything to expose, really.
The thing is, I don't care if they release it, so it's not like a threat. I don't know why they think it's such a big deal. It's just a messy episode. I just found that like such a violation to come into our house and secretly record us. I was like, wow. I was really blown away by that, actually.
There is the screenshot of some of the replies on Trisha's tweets. A user got blocked for tweeting this on Moses saying, is secretly recording someone in their home a loving or hateful act? Asking for a friend. And as you can see, Channel Water, which is Moses on Twitter, blocked the guy. Ethan talked about a few other instances like straight up lies that Trisha has said in Frenemies episodes. For example, in one episode, she said David and Jason got her a puppy out of nowhere. She never said that she wanted one. She wasn't prepared to have a dog, etc., etc. But then Ethan showed a compilation from a TikTok dedicated to Trisha's contradictions. In that TikTok, there were multiple clips where Trisha said that she wanted a Pomeranian for a while. She wanted a puppy, and even that she has told Jason.
And Jason, they just surprised me with it for a vlog and made me keep it, even though I never asked for a dog.
And yes, we did talk about this from everyone who's like, oh my god, you can't just surprise me with a puppy. I have been wanting a puppy for a really long time. We had talked about it for a while, that I wanted a Pomeranian.
So the puppy in reality wasn't a big surprise to her. And Ethan said that this is making him question everything that Trisha has told him. Why is she lying about something so insignificant? And with what else has she been dishonest to him? I'm telling you guys, my theory still holds. Trisha Paytas is a pathological liar. Like, it's not even her fault at this point. She just can't help but lie. All in all, Ethan and the H3 team seem to be absolutely done with Trisha. He doesn't want to deal with her. Trisha hasn't responded yet, but who knows? Maybe another 30 TikToks are coming our way.
I am quitting drama, and there are no more enemies as far as I'm concerned. They're fine and they can handle themselves and stuff like that, but it's just like, I don't like that. You know, I can always handle it, but when it starts like going over to family, especially people offline, people who are not even on the internet, you know, it just doesn't, it's not fair. It doesn't feel good, and ultimately that's my responsibility. For anyone that's dealing with harassment in my life, it's because of my actions, and I'm taking full ownership of it.
But yeah, basically that was it for today's video. I really hope that you guys found it to be helpful. If you did, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. I post new videos every single day. All right, bye-bye.